Welcome everyone to this July 16th meeting of the City of Charleston Planning Commission. Charlie Harris, I'm the chairman. I'm joined by my left, Mr. John Clark Jackson, Mr. Steve Hurst, Mr. David Daly, Mr. Peter Brian Jenkins, and my right is Vice Chairman Harry Lassane. His right is Donna Jacobs. Her right is Erica Harrison. These folks are volunteers appointed by Charleston City Council. So you join me in thanking them for their time and their work on behalf of our city. The way the meeting will run tonight is I'll introduce an item on the agenda for the record. We'll hear from staff, and we'll hear from the applicant. Anyone in favor of the application, then anyone who may have opposition to the application. Then we'll let the applicant address any issues that were brought up. And the final. After that, we'll close the public hearing and commission members will discuss, make motions and vote on. If you get up to speak tonight, I ask you to come to the podium, tell us who you are, your residence, and if you're representing someone. If you have a cell phone, I'd ask you to put it on silent or turn it off, which I just did myself. And I'm gonna ask Mr. Morgan to introduce any staff that will be presenting tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Christopher Morgan. I'm planning manager here at the city. So joining us from city staff tonight are Linda Cox, our planner who worked for the planning commission, Philip Overcash, our senior planner, and then Hart, who is here from our senior zoning planner here with the subdivision request. And then also our clerk is Jasmine O'Neill.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any other changes to the agenda?
No, sir.
Okay, all right. We're gonna approve the minutes hopefully, and then I'll ask if anyone has just a zoning issue, which come up in the later part of the meeting. If you're here just for that, let us know and we'll try to bring you up so you won't have to wait through the whole meeting. Is anyone here just for a zoning issue? That answers that. Oh, you are? Okay, so we'll get you right after the minutes, okay? Minutes, Ms. Jacobs, can I pick on you?
Yes, you may, sir. I wasn't here for the April meeting, and last meeting, I know
We had some corrections.
we made some corrections. The minutes were finished, but we still don't have the commission members listed correctly because I was with all the other.
That's April's meeting.
That's April 16th. Everybody was here but me, but we have a very short list here that includes me, so it was edited in the sense that it was completed for the rest of the minutes, but the commission members
Get that
still need
corrected.
to be corrected. Yes, sir.
Yes,
And I
ma'am.
can't vote on that. I just noticed
I
that.
understand.
And the May minutes were fine with me. The June minutes were fine, but I left early, so I can't vote on those minutes either.
Okay, so why don't we take, since you can't vote on April or June, why don't we take April? You make a motion?
I'll move for approval with the contingency that those corrections of the correct members in attendance.
I'll second.
Great. Motion by Mr. Lassane, second by Ms. Brian Jenkins. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That's great. Thank you.
And I'm abstaining.
Okay, so that'll be 7 in favor and 1 abstention. Can we go to June?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Right,
Can I make it a joint motion of approval of May and June?
that'd be fine. Let's do that. Let's do that. Yep,
Second.
great. Motion by Ms. Harrison, second by Mr. Lassane. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone in opposition?
I'm abstaining from June, but I'll vote for May.
Okay. We'll get that straight on the minutes.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Well, I don't want to be held accountable if I'm not here to vote.
No, well, we had a clear majority, so I think we'll, yeah, so. All right, young lady, what item are you here on the zoning?
Me?
No, I think it was Delaney. What address are you here for?
Well, rezoning the application for the.
Not rezoning, zoning.
Oh, no, I'm rezoning.
Okay, is anybody here just for zoning? So that would be,
Might be helpful to call up the address.
well, I'll give them to you. 2485 Liverpool, 1545 Pine Bar, 28 Riverdale, 2234 Yates. Anybody here for those issues? Okay, then we'll go forward with these ones. First item on the agenda is rezoning of number 2, it says 2. 835 Magnolia Road, West Ashton, Maryville, Asheville, KMS number 34904000194, Council District 4, 0.237 acres. Grass rezoned from single family SR2 to commercial transitional. Mr. Morgan.
Mr. Chairman. So this property is located kind of midway down Magnolia Road between where it intersects with Savannah Highway and then where it ultimately intersects with St. Andrews Boulevard and Ashley River Road. This property is adjacent to lands that are part of the West Ashley Bikeway that goes across here. It crosses Magnolia here. But these are owned by the city. The areas in green are owned by the city. That's what the C conservation zoning relates to. It backs up to single family houses that are along Sims or Seams Drive over here. And then across the street is a little bit of a different zoning, DR1F on this corner parcel. And then office that was rezoned to commercial transitional, I think around 2018, so like 7 or so years ago, and fully renovated. I'll show you some pictures of all that. Just for comparison's sake, the request is to go from single family SR1 to commercial transitional. The types of uses that are allowed in single family are pretty much golf courses and single family dwellings, whereas in commercial transitional, you have a whole range of businesses as well.
Obviously, you can have a church in single family.
Correct. Yes, sir. Businesses, offices, limited restaurants, residential dwellings can work as well in commercial transitional. So here's an aerial of the property, and the church that's on the site takes up, a good bit of the area. The church area is around 5,000 square feet, according to the county records in this building. And of course, that is a key denominator in the CT district, because the CT district limits you to 5,000 square foot spaces for things like offices or retail stores, or just actually more limited for a restaurant. But so future uses that could fit into that church, would be allowed along the CT criteria. Parking is very limited. I think there is some city owned parking over here that's utilized, but any future user would have to work something out with the city on that. Use of that parking is certainly not guaranteed, so that would be a thing to get resolved. But church is interested in relocating from this facility, and thus their interest in selling the property to facilitate their relocation. And when they came to us and talked about other uses to, make their property marketable, because, SR1 would be difficult given the building that's there now, for a residential use, unless somebody subdivided it or subdivided the building up into multiple units, that kind of thing. We looked at the fact that across the street had been that CT zoning, and I'll show you some images of that. This is the church right here along Magnolia Road. And then you see in the distance, the city-owned parking back here, and then the West Ashley Bikeway is in that direction a little bit further to the rear. Here again, you see that parking and the entrance to the church here. And then across the street is the renovated building that is office space, and I believe it had a cafe in it at some point as well. There's another image of that renovated property. Never had a cafe. Okay. All right. So, but it did have a office use in it. So in our comprehensive plan, this area is designated for suburban, which doesn't mean it's exclusively residential. It means that limited scale business use could be permissible based on the comprehensive plan, because all neighborhoods benefit from having some commercial use within them. Staff felt comfortable that a CT has enough limitations on it that it would make it more compatible within the neighborhood here. And, the proximity to the West Ashley Bikeway and the other commercial across the street made us comfortable with it. And that's why we are recommending for approval.
Remind me of the hours of operation of CT.
They are typically, let's go back to the schedule there. I believe it is, we don't have it on this list.
7 to 11.
It's 7 to 11. Yeah.
So
7
11
a.m. to like 11 p.m. Yeah.
And what's the size of the parcel? Again,
The size of the parcel is.
Oh, 0.237.
Yeah. So
The
about
building
7
size
acre. I'm sorry.
5,000 square feet.
Yeah, the building size can only. be
Mr.
5,000
Morgan, would it have to, if somebody to transition this, would they have to go through design review on this property to keep the building?
I think we found that it was not in design review. It's not under our design
If
review.
they would, if they
But they
wanted to
would have
demo
to
or
go
anything
through-
like that, they.
our zoning review of it, how the square footage is allocated, is the parking adequate? Because there's very, very limited parking. So parking would have to be figured out. I don't know if there could be an agreement with the city about other parking that's in the nearby area. That would have to be worked out. So, definitely a lot of steps that would have to be made.
If they want to demo any, that has to be approved, correct?
There is no demo
Let me ask
approval on this because it's not in the DRB
Okay.
purview.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any other questions of Mr. Morgan? If not, is the applicant with us?
I am.
Would you like to come up?
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Pastor Washington. I am the applicant for the rezoning application. I don't know how this works as far as what I say now, what I say later, but I did type up some comments. But
Yes,
read
sir.
those.
You tell us, and if we have questions, we'll ask.
Sure.
Thank you.
Shouldn't be any longer than about a 5-minute read.
That's fine.
Okay. So basically, the One Word of Grace Assembly Church congregation, again, located on 835 Magnolia Road, we have collectively as a whole agreed and concurred to relocate the ministry in the accordance to the vision that God has given us. Of course, church relocation requires funding. Funds acquired from the sale will go towards the relocation effort. Now, when it comes to inquiries, we've had about 4 inquiries from churches. 3 of those inquiries were only interested in renting or either leasing. The one church interested in purchasing, after viewing the property, indicated that the limited parking was not conducive to the size of their ministry. Even if you include the city-owned parking, which is located on the premises right across the street from the church, there would not be enough parking to accommodate even a decent-sized ministry. In total, there may be about 30 parking spaces. The church can seat currently about 200 people. I know that because I set up the seating in the church, set up about seating for about 200 people. We have about 200 seats set up in the sanctuary. Parking is nowhere close to accommodating such a crowd. The church itself has about 8 parking spaces right in front of our church, with the remaining parking spaces being owned by the city. If the opposition to rezoning is based off of the traffic and congestion and parking in surrounding subdivisions that additional parking and vehicles would cause, actually a large ministry coming in poses more of a threat regarding those concerns than a small business that doesn't require abundant parking. Point number 2, we do have potential buyers, and the representative, he's here with us today, that are interested in the space. They are interested in using the space as an office area and a potential retail for a fishing product that they sell. I would like to note that those products are not manufactured on site, neither are they hazardous. No chemicals, anything like that involved that is hazardous to the community. The potential buyers also do not require a lot of parking. Therefore, they do not anticipate a lot of traffic or congestion in the area due to their business. The potential buyers also indicated that they do not plan to change the structure of the building. Intended purpose of potential buyers would require commercial zoning, thus the request to rezone. And my last point, because I know there's a concern with a church remaining in the area. As was earlier stated, right across the street from us is a property that was rezoned to commercial, Meyer Cap and Associates back in, I want to say 2018. And I will say this, and I don't mean it in a degrading manner, but it's just fact, that One Word of Grace Assembly, our church, it used to be Plymouth Church. We legally changed our name. We acquired that property back in 2015. Prior to that, the church was vacant for some time prior to the purchasing of the property. Now, since opening the doors to the church, we have had multiple community day events in the community. We provided food and entertainment to the community and neighborhood, and invited the community to walk through the church so that the ministry could meet and greet community and neighbors. We've done this on multiple occasions. Since our opening in 2015, no one from the neighborhood has actively attended or joined the ministry. All our current members are from outside of the community. We have had a handful of one-time visitors. So it would seem to me that if the neighborhood were truly concerned about an active church remaining in the community, individuals from the community would at least regularly attend or contribute to the community. And that hasn't happened. And I'll leave it at that. At this time, I do have the representative for the buyers. He's present. If he can come at this time,
Yes, sir.
later.
Tell us who you are. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Good work. Hi, thank you for having me. My name is Chris Stubbs. I'm an attorney in town. My office over on 31 Broad Street. Thank you for your service and thank you to staff for everything you guys do. So I'm here on behalf of a company called Easy on Bobber. They're interested in purchasing this, either them or some LLC they set up. And this company, I've actually known the folks that run this. It's a minority owned business, and it's this concept started up about 10 years ago, and kind of the idea was they took a bobber and it was like a new concept. They would be here right now, but they are in Orlando at the ICAST convention thing goes on, where they try to sell this product to your Walmart, your Targets, whoever it is that will sell these things across the country. And they've actually done pretty well with this and have gotten some good leads with it. They have been working out of just, I guess, what do you call it, flex space for a while now, and they're looking to move into something where they can have office. They've also talked about maybe a little retail shop there, but this is not a big retail establishment like we might imagine some other places. This is more the idea they're going to run their office out of this, take their orders, ship stuff. They get the stuff manufactured someplace else, and it comes in by boat, and then it gets then they'll ship it off to wherever Walmart wants it or whoever wants it. So it should not add significant traffic to the community. I think they are a good company. They are good corporate citizens. They're talking about setting up a nonprofit to try to work with local schools and disadvantaged communities to try to help people have something like I'm sure you've heard about the kind of charities like give bikes to kids that might not afford it. They're going to try to bring in the idea of products to the communities to try to help them out. As I said, it doesn't sound like they're going to do much with the building and trying to change the shape or dimensions of it right now. They might clean it up. I think they will be a good corporate citizen. They're good people. They're from the Charleston area, grew up in the area, and I think we'll be happy with them if we get them.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else on the applicant? Wait, I mean, we'll take questions in a minute, or if you have a concern, we'll let you address that as a concern, but as the applicant, is that everyone speaking to you, sir? Pastor?
Anything additional?
Okay,
I think we're good.
okay.
Thank you.
Would anyone like to speak in favor of the application? Anyone in favor of the application? Anyone in opposition to the application? Each one come up one at a time to the podium, tell us who you are, where you live, and
Hi, thanks for hearing.
thank you.
I'm Doug Behringer, 826 Magnolia Road. I live right across the street.
Yes,
I
sir.
lived there for about 3 years. My wife built our house there. It's a residential neighborhood. The DR2F that's beside me is multifamily. The little business that's beside that is very, very infrequently used. I mean, there's barely a car there on any given day. I know I walk past it every day, walking my dogs. And I know the neighborhood pretty well. Again, it's a residential neighborhood. That little business there does not contribute to the traffic at all. Now, traffic is a problem. It just got sort of glossed over. And I mean that respectfully. I live on that street, so I know exactly how much traffic goes up and down that street. That's a lot. It's the major cut through road between 17 and 61. It's also used by emergency vehicles every day, all day. And the traffic is heavy, it's fast, so much so that they've put a police presence on that road almost on a daily basis. Ticketing people for speeding, obviously, there's wrecks on that street very often. Again, it's easy to say that the business is not going to contribute to the traffic, but ingress egress obviously is going to be a major problem there. More people coming in and out. It seems like a very bad idea. Again, it's a residential neighborhood. There's people pushing carriages, babies, walking dogs down that street all day, every day, with cars flying past at high rates of speed. Now you're going to have some more traffic added to it. It just seems a poor idea to me, especially in light of the fact that, and I'll say it again, this is a residential neighborhood. Businesses are located on the end caps, both sides. You got Avondale down at one end, you got the restaurants down at the other end, nothing in between with the exception of that one CD spot right there by the DR2F. That's it. And again, that is not a very heavily used business at all. I noticed in your picture, there was one car in the driveway. I don't know what time, but that was taken, but that's gonna be the picture pretty much all day, every day. In any case, I'm not gonna be long-winded about this, but again, due to traffic concerns, due to safety of people walking up and down the street, I think it's a bad idea.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming. Yes, sir. Come on up.
Thank you for your time. My name is John Hurt. I live at 1161 Armstrong Avenue, which is directly behind this church. I've lived there for over 2 decades. And I've seen different occupants of the church come and go. What makes this church property very tricky is not only that there's only 6 parking spots on the church property itself. This is the church, so their parking spots would be here and here. But what this gentleman didn't mention earlier was this, which is Armstrong Avenue. Now, Armstrong Avenue on my side of Magnolia
Can you pull that up any better, Chris? Or what they're about?
is unpaved. It just appears as a part of the city's greenway property. This is my home. This is what looks like the driveway to the church. I've always had a concern with keeping that free. It is a city street, although it is unpaved. I want to have access not only to my home from Magnolia, but also for emergency vehicles or utility vehicles to have access to the property. And at various times, that's been very tricky. Yeah, this is Armstrong Avenue right here. It's almost invisible, but the size of a city street is there. That is a 2-lane city street. So obviously I oppose this rezoning, not only for how it will affect my property, but also the neighborhood. As Mr. Behringer said, Magnolia is a overburdened cut-through road. We have problems not only with speeding, but a huge problem with littering. And as he said, it is a residential neighborhood. There are families, kids, people walking dogs. And bringing any more commercial activity into that neighborhood, even if it's 1 car more, it's 1 car too many for where we are in that neighborhood now. So I would ask you to reconsider approving this. Maryville is one of the oldest parts of Charleston, and I would ask you to help us preserve its residential nature.
Thank you for coming, sir.
Okay.
Anyone else opposition? Yes, ma'am. Come on up.
I live just a block away and I agree with everything.
Your name, just give us
Oh,
your
I'm
name
sorry.
and
It's
address.
Christina Price and 6 Jerry Drive is where I live.
Thank you.
Just about a block away. And I've owned and lived there for over 40 years. And it's always been residential. And like they said, families and everything, and more families are moving. It's become more of a residential neighborhood. Houses are being redone and coming in and out of that Armstrong Avenue is dangerous. I'm terrified for my life every time I'm turning out of there because it's not well kept by the city and just it's not, I oppose to it as well. To
Thank
the
you, ma'am.
residents.
Thank you for coming. Yes, sir. Come on up.
My name's Leonard Higgins and I live at 925 Avenue. Lived in this community for my whole life. And that building that's across from the church, it's always been commercial. That used to be Pete's Body Shop. So that's the only reason it's there. And it was to serve the Black community back in the day where he couldn't go anywhere else. So he sold it a few years ago and he lives around the corner from me now. The big picture is once you open up the rezoning of one single family residential, you're gonna give people a reasoning that, hey, if you let them do that, why can't I do that? And it's gonna start looking like maybe Savannah Highway or St. Andrews Boulevard, where they have all of the houses along the street as businesses. And to go along with what they said, this is a residential neighborhood. It's been chopped up and cut off over the years too many times. And we thought we had stabilized, and we want to keep it stabilized like it is, residential. You know, I remember when I was a little boy, St. Andrews Boulevard came through there and cut Maryville and Ashleyville in half. You know, Magnolia Road was just like another major thoroughfare that was made and cut through Maryville again. So anything that changes the environment or the nature of the neighborhood right now from residential, whether it's a business, he says that only gonna have sparse traffic or whatever, that just opens up a can of worms that I think we shouldn't open, you know, and keep this old established neighborhood as a residential neighborhood.
And your name's very familiar. You've been there for a long time, that area.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
My father, my
Are
grandfather.
you,
What's
are
your-
you
Was your father?
Leonard Higgins?
Leonard, that's what I was.
Yeah, I know the name, but
Great man.
Okay.
thank you, sir. Thank you for coming. Opposition?
Yeah.
Come on up.
Opposition, no.
Opposition?
Not opposition, no.
Okay. Young lady, you had a question. Anyone else?
One other.
Oh, we have one
other.
other.
I understand, but that young lady had a question. And if you want to speak.
Wondering about the trucks that are needed, and whether or not.
All right, well, all right,
Let's address
come to
the
the podium if you could come up. Right. Applicant, we'll get a response when the applicant responds, so let's just get it for the record.
My name is Gillian McLernan, and I own this property here. And I was just wondering about the trucks and the hours of operation.
Ma'am, address it to us and they'll give us an answer at the end. Okay, we'll get answers at the end. So address the question.
Okay.
And then
the
they'll
question
respond.
is, what are the trucks situation? What are they gonna be using? And the hours of operation kind of scare me with the 7 to 11.
Yes, ma'am. And we'll get an answer when they respond. Thank you. In opposition, anyone else in opposition? Come on up. Young lady.
Hi, I'm Monica Behringer, my husband Doug, my neighbor John. We live right here, 826 Magnolia Road, so we can see the proposed site from our house. We're actually new to the community. I grew up West Ashley, I'm from Charleston, but we built our home on that site about 3.5 years ago. And the appeal was the residential feel, the community. You know, when I think of amenities in a neighborhood, I think of, you know, we have a farmer's market, we have a community garden, we have a dog park, a skate park. There's amenities on either side of Magnolia Road. When I think of amenities, I don't think of commercial property, especially in such an established residential neighborhood. I do oppose.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for coming. Opposition?
Yeah, one more.
Come on up, young lady. How are you, ma'am?
Yeah, thank you. To the board. My name is Marcia Higgins. I am president of the Maryville Ashleyville Neighborhood Association. During the past few days.
Can you speak up just a little? I'm a little bit, thank you.
Okay.
Perfect.
During the past few days, we have worked hard so the community would understand what is being addressed here tonight. We do appreciate the residents who came and expressed their concerns. The Maryville Ashleyville Neighborhood Association, residents of the Maryville and Ashleyville community, and other Charleston concerned citizens. We also do not want 835 Magnolia Road to be rezoned. A church has been located on this property for over 135 years. It has changed ownership. And through the years, the church has improved. The building itself, the facility has greatly improved. It was in that state when Plymouth Church first owned the property, because the other churches, they left for different reasons. And We are interested and we strongly feel that it should not be rezoned to commercial. It does take away from the whole residential character of the community. As already been said, it opens up a door for other commercial endeavors. When this business comes and it decides to leave, something else commercial will be able to come. It will open up to other businesses. We don't know what the future holds. And we are concerned about the future for our community. Maryville, Asheville is the historic town of Maryville. We were organized in 1886. We received our charter in 1888. The areas that's being discussed here this evening, Armstrong Street. It is a very congested street. Magnolia Road, all those were a part of the historic town of Maryville. Just briefly, we had our own mayors, about probably about 15 of them during 3 years. Our own we have we call them wardens. We had to provide our own health services because back in the day we were not allowed to go to hospitals. We lasted for about 50 years before the charter of the historic town of Maryville was revoked and changed forever. However, we still have a great appreciation for our community, the history of our community. The community is growing, it's changing. We welcome the change. We welcome the new residents who have become a part of the community. We would like it to stay residential. A church actually brings something special to a community. This location, as I mentioned, has been a church for 135 years. I went to Sunday school there. I'm a senior citizen now. And that church lasted, until 2015, when Plymouth Church purchased the property. That church built a new building. They had some financial issues and they lost the church. However, that does not mean that we don't need a church. That church was involved in the community. This church, the One Word of Grace Assembly Church, based on the pastor information that he gave us, Pastor Raymond Washington, have 10 members. And talking up to the residents, the church itself has not reached out to the community. Most churches, we have one in Asheville. Vacation Bible School was going on this week. So, they have activities to bring in the community. And apparently this church has not made that heavily. But just wanted to make it clear that we do not support the rezoning of 835 Magnolia Road from residential to commercial. I do have a few things I just want to make remarks, so you can let me know when my time is up. As far as the parking issue that's been addressed, Years ago, Mayor Riley was in office at that time. And the church that was there for over 120 years allowed the church to use the city property for parking. A matter of fact, the agreement was the church would pay $10 a year to use the property. And hopefully sometime in the future, the city would actually just give the church the. I don't know what the status of that is now, but that was the arrangement at that time. It was always mentioned that a business has always been across the street because it was needed for the community. Now the business that's there, I don't know whether it's a graphic design business or what kind of business it is, but it doesn't have a whole lot of activity at that business. I do have a couple of questions. And checking the records of ownership of the church, the county records, and I confirmed with the city also, what do they have in their records? They use county records. It lists the ownership of the church of the property as Plymouth Church, not the One Word of Grace Assembly Church. I think really this issue needs to be clarified in terms of ownership of the church before this board makes a decision about even whether to approve or not approve of rezoning, because the record of ownership is Plymouth Church. And it seems like the record of ownership needs to be correct before any decisions are made. My last question is for the city of Charleston. Why would you want to do this to our community? It does appear that this effort has been encouraged by the city of Charleston to rezone this property from residential to commercial. And my first conversation with a very nice Reverend Washington, he indicated that they were thinking about it and wanted to come to our neighborhood association meeting. That was sometime in May. And then a few weeks later, he called me back and he said that they changed their mind. They were not going with the rezoning effort. They decided not to do it. Later, it showed up on the agenda for the planning commission. I reviewed the agendas because we want to know what's going on in our community. And I informed the Reverend, the pastor, that it was on the agenda. He was not even aware that it was on the agenda. He contacted the city and said, you know, they didn't want that and wanted to withdraw it. The city encouraged him to say, no, don't withdraw it. Wait until you get enough. He waited. And yet he changed his mind. Apparently the offer came in. That doesn't sound very good to me. And the other factor is that the property is listed initially for $1.5 million. For those of us who see that church every day, just about, we're not involved in real estate, but we have common sense. And we do know it's not worth $1.5 million. Apparently, this price must be for a business already, because business property is much more than residential.
Right.
I do thank you for listening to all those who are here and against this.
Give me your name one more
The
time.
name is Marcia Higgins.
And Ms. Higgins, just for the record, I think you submitted the petitions with 112 names in
Yes,
opposition.
yes, that's my
Okay, I
last
just want to get
statement.
that on the record.
Please, we presented a petition
Right,
with over 100 names,
thank you.
112 names, in opposition to the rezoning of this.
Thank you, ma'am.
And we do appreciate you.
Thank you for your work.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Anyone else in opposition? Mr. Morgan, I'm gonna ask you to surmise. I know there was some written comment. We don't need to read them all, but if you could just tell us the general consensus.
So the first comment, two comments in opposition is from Ms. Higgins.
Okay, so we got
For
that.
her fee. And the second one is from Diane Hamilton, who's a noted historian and educator in the area, who's had concerns about it, increased traffic and things like that. Then there were two comments in support from a W. Benson at 716 Shelley Road. Believes the new company will bring value and equity to the community, and then also a comment in support from Edward Smalls, 1121 Browning Road, and felt like the zoning would benefit the property and community living about the business.
Okay, thank you, sir. Is that it? Thank you.
And I've got the petition.
And everyone who's spoken in opposition has spoken. So we'll hear back from the applicant, any respond to any concerns were brought up. Questions that were brought up, if you'd like, love to hear back from you. Okay.
Again, just thank you for this opportunity in this moment. And let me say just going forward that any comments that I make is not to be slanderous or contentious. I don't want anybody here to think that I'm upset. Everybody has their right to oppose or to agree.
Yes, sir.
So I just want to address some of the things that were brought up. Number one, they said that a Plymouth church bought the property back in 2015. It sounded like that Plymouth church did a pretty good job. Well, we are one in the same. We actually legally changed our name, and we have that legal documentation where we changed our name from Plymouth Church to One Word of Grace. That documentation has been provided to our real estate representative and the attorneys to prove that there was actually a legal name change, and One Word of Grace Assembly actually owns that property. That's documented with the city. So that's one point I wanted to address. The next point was we requested for rezoning, we changed our mind, and then we came back and changed our mind again. So how that all happened? We requested initially, I went to Mr. Overcash because I didn't know the procedure. And I said, the church is interested in rezoning your property. What do I need to do? And he said, well, first of all, you need to at least attend the neighborhood council meeting. I said, fine, I don't have a problem with that. So during that time, between the time I initially inquired and we initially had the meeting, again, to regurgitate what I said earlier, we had about 3 churches that came through. They were only interested in renting. We had one potential buyer. Parking it didn't suit their needs. And then we had one potential a buyer that was a commercial business. So I initially went to Mr. Overcash because I thought that another church would actually come in and purchase the property. So I said, hey, look, Mr. Overcash, I'm considering pulling back my application. You know, because it looks like we had some churches that are on the table. Those deals fell through. But he did tell me I would advise just keep the application as it is. Because if you have a commercial person interested, you know, at least we can go through. You know, because if it's, you know, if they do rezone it commercial, if a church comes in, they can still use that facility. You know, but if a commercial company comes in, it's going to have to be rezoned. So keep your applicant on the table. I sent a email to Ms. Higgins and I said, I apologize for not following back up. This is the reason why I kept my application for rezoning in place. And then we followed up with the meeting. So I wanted to address that.
Yes, sir.
The only other thing I wanted to say was the concern from the community when we talked about the historical significance of the community. And they say that, you know, the church has always been a church, it's special to that community. But like I said, I go back and I repeat myself that I've been there since 2015. We were Plymouth Church. We legally renamed it to One Word of Grace. In the 10 years that I've been there, our members can attest. First of all, let me rewind a little bit. We have gone out to the community. Like I said, we've hosted family day events where we barbecued, put food on the grill, invited people in. One year we had a jump castle for the children. It was good showing. People said, hey, I appreciate what you're doing. We'll stop back through. Never saw me. I don't have a problem with that. But the problem that I have as a pastor is that when the communities that surround your church, when they say it's always been a church here, we love the fact that there's a church in the community, but you never show up. That's a concern. You might be a member of another church. I don't have a problem with that. You know, but if your problem is that the church is looking to sell and a business is moving in, and your problem is that there's always been a church there, but you never visited, you haven't ducked your head in the door once. And now that we're moving forward with God's vision, there's an issue. So that's the problem that I have as a pastor. You know, but again, that's neither here or there. I'm not upset with anyone. And yes, sir.
I just, and there was a question brought up by a few people on parking, I think.
Maybe that was for the fishing business to answer that.
Okay, maybe still later.
Yeah, and that was pretty much all my
I
comments.
didn't mean to cut you off. If you have
Okay.
anything else, you go ahead.
So we do have the records in place showing that the name was legally changed. I've explained the reason why I, put the application in, had the desire to withdraw it, and then let it remain. It was a reason for that. And then when it talked about the pricing, I believe that pricing pretty much is irrelevant. That shouldn't have anything to do with rezoning a request. If anybody knows anything about real estate, there's inflation. We've been there since 2015. It's 2025, that's 10 years. During the meeting, one of the major focuses on the meeting was how much did we buy the church for? And I said, that's irrelevant. Why would you ask that in a rezoning meeting? That's irrelevant. And then the question was asked, well, you actually have somebody that's willing to pay 1.1 million. It wasn't listed for 1.5, it was listed to 1.4. We actually dropped the price to 1.1. And then the question was asked, well, do you have a buyer for that much? So my concern was, it seemed like your concern really wasn't about a church remaining in the area. Your concern was about the financial doings of our church, which is irrelevant to this meeting.
Folks, no, we'll let them speak. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
Okay, so, and then that price, I did not set that price. And my realtor can come up if she wants to, that price was set by inflation and.
We don't need to get in, we don't need to get into those numbers.
Okay. So, and then again, when it goes back to the parking, and this is my final point, the concern with the parking. Like I said, initially, if the church, or if that property remained a church and a vibrant ministry came in with 50 or more vehicles, that poses more of a threat as far as traffic than a small business that desires that space to use as an office space, where it's probably on a daily basis 3 or 4 vehicles coming in and out. That doesn't even come close to a large ministry coming in that has 50 or 60 cars that's constantly pulling in and out.
Yes, sir.
So the last thing is my assistant pastor, he had something that he wanted to address.
Yes, sir. Tell us who you are.
My name is Reverend George Hayward, and I'm also a native of Charleston, South Carolina. And I just wanted to go over a few things that I heard. I was really disappointed. One thing that I practice as a pastor and as a preacher, integrity, to be honest. Regardless what I want or what I may want or desire, honesty is always the best policy. I'm at that church every single day. Every day. And what really bothered me on some of the things that were said, that the building across the street stated that there are a few cars maybe per day. It's not true. That parking lot is full every day until
Ladies and gentlemen, we've asked you to please keep it down.
even the parking that's across from my church, they use.
Speak to us if you.
Yeah, I'll just make an example. They also use that parking. There are either 3 or 4 cars and sometimes more cars that are using that parking for the building that is across from the church. So that's not true. And I'm not going to stand before you, before the Lord, and say something different. That parking lot at that business is full every day. Cars are going in and out every single day. I'm there every day. I'm there every day, every morning. I'm there.
Okay.
And so my thing is that, and as Pastor Ramon said, that a church, for most of us who knows him here, we are the church. The building we understand, but we are the church. And as he has stated, no visitors comes and visit that church. And I've been there. And as he said, over 10 years, no one in that community have come in and visit for Sunday school, for morning worship, for any such.
Okay.
And so I would like to make that plain for the record.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Is the, yes, so Mr. Stobbs, would you like to, I think there was a question.
Yeah, I'll be happy to. Thank you for the questions. Thank you to the residents.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, let's give him some attention. He's got the podium.
So I grew up on Bull Street, downtown Charleston in the seventies, and so I've been through what everyone's talking about, where communities change over time. So I do respect that. And thank you for your input on that. Now, the questions I heard, one of them was, what kind of trucks are coming in? That's a great question. Okay, this, so I checked with my owner down in Florida, and they said the occasional FedEx, UPS type truck might come in, but it's not going to be a Walmart supercenter where you got the truck keeping up and doing that. So that's good. That's good news. The next question was, you know, I guess the timing period of the 7 a.m. to 11, that scared some people, and rightfully so. This is a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday type operation. And then I asked the question because they're really good questions about what kind of parking here, you know, this, you don't want to have a bunch of cars coming and going and taking up spots, maybe more than they would have allotted. And the owner told me 1 to 5 cars, there's not a huge staff. And then it would be open as a little retail center, but I'm not imagining there's gonna be a whole huge amount of traffic, people coming in like it's, you know, the Rod and Reel Center or something. It's, you know, has the occasional person coming in. And then I guess the question kind of becomes, you know, and they're great comments. It really comes down to I guess the community, and it sounds like you've got some people who want to keep things the way they are. And that'll be the question for you guys. It's, we got a willing buyer that's wanting to come in and move their business. And I do think they'll be a good corporate citizen. As I said, it's a minority owned business. I do have a letter from the owner. If you guys would like to see it, I can have it passed around.
I think we have that.
You may already have it. Okay, good.
Yeah, okay.
And if, I think there will be a good community citizen, but the question comes to you guys, is, you know, is making that zoning change. It looks like there is already other businesses
Thank you,
in this
Mr.
area. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
I do, can I ask a question?
Did you have a question, Mr. Stobbs, about the
Yeah.
applicant?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And I actually have a question for Ms. Higgins too, but one question I have is your client,
Yes.
You said the description of the use is corporate office. Is that the description?
It's primarily corporate office, but they want to have a little retail center there to display their wares most likely. But as I said, most of the stuff is getting shipped to like around the country.
Okay, so basically, there's offices to handle the business,
Yes, ma'am.
the overall corporate business, and then retail to display their wares.
Yeah.
Or display and sell their wares. Okay. So my ultimate question is, have you talked to the neighborhood about a use variance? And if so, what was the response to a use variance?
Excellent question. I just got involved today, so I don't know what they've done so far. Maybe the real estate agent can speak to it, but I'm brand new. I got the call today saying, oh, we're supposed to be at a hearing and we're in Florida trying to summer.
So as far as your knowledge, does anyone have any other information? Just 1 second.
Someone may have the answer that I don't.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Tell us who you are. If you have the answer, that's great.
All right, I'm Rosalind Piper. I'm the real estate agent that's representing the pastor. And I want to share first and foremost that.
Ma'am, and I'm not trying to rehash the whole thing. We just want to kind of answer these questions
okay.
about the use variance.
So there's not a use variance in place, but that is the second plan. If this doesn't go through, that would be the second option.
Okay.
So the first step is the
Perfect.
zone.
Thank you for your answer. That's great.
Can I say one thing in reference to the business though? Because they're not
Very quick.
here.
Yes,
They're
ma'am.
not here. So I do want to state for the community, their goal is really to come in and to be a part of the community and help the children learn about fishing. So it's a little bobber that they have that attaches to the fish, the little hook thing. I'm not a fisher, but anyway, that's what it is. And they're not looking to have a big store or anything like that.
Ma'am,
Just a
and
little- just
I
a
appreciate it, but we're
tiny
not trying to rehash the whole thing.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate your input. Thank you for answering that question.
Thank you.
Can I ask my question to the neighborhood president now? I
Yes,
think that would be a.
yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Ms. Higgins, without getting into a lot of discussion or discourse, because we've all, we need to be cognizant of everyone's time. and traffic, getting back to West Ashley. My question is the objection to the intensification of a rezoning, or is there an objection to the overall use of the property other than as a church? To this business that they're proposing, is the objection to the business, or is it objection to the actual uses that would be permitted under CT?
The objection is to rezoning. As I mentioned, that we have to think about the future. And the rezoning opens it up to commercial. So this business may be there tomorrow, but then other businesses can come in. So the rezoning is the issue, not all these other things, that's being mentioned.
And yes, that's what, so I guess, did the neighborhood consider the use as being highly inappropriate, or
You mean the business
that they're proposing?
No, because, after they left, we discussed the rezoning, but our focus was on rezoning.
Right. That's issue before.
Yeah, that is an issue.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was rezoning. We did ask some questions. Now, they asked if I was focused on the cost. The reason we asked that question is because we
Ma'am,
felt that.
and I'm not trying, listen, we just don't want to go backwards, but I appreciate you answering that question.
Okay.
Is there any other questions, Commissioner?
Thank you very
Thank you for your time and your answers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that's concludes the public aspect of this. We appreciate everybody's input. We understand. So now commission members discuss questions, comments, motions.
So I don't actually have a motion on this. So I don't have a motion, but I think this also shows us a little bit about how we saw this exact same type of concept happen on Romney.
Yes.
Romney came to us, and I'm giving a little bit of background. Romney was a church. The church had a population that had significantly diminished. They came for a rezoning of a similar nature of commercial. And they went to city council post our meeting for an approval. And it was, I think at some point in time, deferred. And then they also then went back to Board of Zoning and Appeals based upon the recommendation of city council for a use variance, and the neighborhood still objected to the use variance. Well, they went back to city council for the rezoning, which was then approved. Now, the problem here is that and I do understand that there is no commercial use on this property right now. But what ends up happening is that you have to actually understand like what the total picture is. And I don't think I don't know how we can, as a planning commission or as a whole, really explain to you that this property is right now approximately 10,000 square feet. And if you keep it as SR2, if there is no church there, you can put 4 new houses with 6 total parking spaces. So you're not so you may not actually retain a church there. There are multiple other ways, I think, Christopher, can you put up that, the chart of uses? And you might,
You blow it up.
No,
No.
unfortunately.
So what it says is that SR can be public, a not-for-profit, a golf course. And I think I may have had a question about the not-for-profit, because not-for-profit could also be residential in nature.
No,
What's the
that's only referring to
golf courses, not
That's
golf
the only other use.
So the
only
only-
uses
so-
that are allowed in single family, which are the golf
courses
Yeah.
or residential.
Then you can get a special exception to have a church, a school, those types of
School,
things.
and a school would be more intense than a church at this point, right?
Okay.
Depending. But also at the same time, what the gentleman was saying, from One Word about the size of a church. So the parking requirement for a 200-person church would be 50 cars. So that is also another intensification if you got a larger church there. So you're looking at so that intensification could happen. Right now, the intensification is small and de minimis because of the size of the church. And so So I guess that's one thing that we have to make sure that we explain is that there are different options. If it retains that zoning, that could actually be more intense than the business that is being proposed. And I think that's something that needs to be fleshed
Good
out.
point, Ms. Harrison. Thank you. Well, Jay, give Mr. Bailey.
I think that Ms. Harrison has made a bunch of good points there. And actually, Ms. Jacobs and I have had a number of conversations recently about how sad it is when a church departs a neighborhood. But when I think about this property, I think it's unlikely that there's ever going to be a church there that is viable, considering the constraints that are on it. All of the things that we heard from the neighborhood, the concerns, I think would be like on steroids if there was a vibrant church there that was full every Sunday, the traffic, the parking, et cetera, et cetera. And so I don't think that there's going to be a church there. So then the question is, what is going to be there in the future? And maybe it's single family. I mean, maybe that's what it is. But the going straight to a rezoning, there could be some other options, I think, first, before you ask for something that sticks with the property forever.
Good point, Mr. Bailey.
Mr.
You
Chairman.
drew out of one.
I'm done.
Okay, Ms. Jacobs, go ahead.
Thank you. And I'm glad you brought this up, Mr. Bailey. It's like, what's wrong with the single family residential zoning that's underneath it? Yes, you could put more houses on there, but guess what? We talk at every commission that what we need in this city is housing, that we're losing housing. The potential to put nice affordable housing next to a walkable bikeway that's going to get connected to a pedestrian bridge that's going to get people downtown is a lovely idea. So why we are leaping straight to commercial right in the middle? And we argued this before with the zoning that looked at in the little neighborhood of DuPont, is why do we go to the middle of a neighborhood and plop something there? It's not fair to the neighborhood, especially something that if they want to teach the neighborhood fishing, that's grand. But if you put a coffee shop there that was a gathering place, because what was failed to mention is Pete's Body Shop that was across the street was necessary for the neighborhood, as was mentioned, but guess what? It was a gathering place. And I know the people that renovated that building, unfortunately, they had a bigger concept for it that they couldn't handle and they left the area, but they would have neighborhood people show up in their office just to hang out because they were so used to coming to that property and hang out. So this not like you can compare it to a true commercial piece of property, totally different flavor. It's an apple and orange thing. So I am going to make a motion to deny this application because once again, I feel like without a whole global look and what's proper for a neighborhood to go right into the middle of it and change it for life to something that's this intense is just not what we should be doing at this commission. So I'm voting to not approve this.
Okay. So
I'm making a motion to not approve this.
okay, so there's a motion to deny the application by Mr. Ingram, second by Mr. Jackson.
Yes, sir.
Okay, other questions, have comments? Comments? Mr. Hussein?
Yes. Well, fellow commission members have made some good points. I think, as Mr. Bailey said, you know, maybe the best thing to happen here is single family. I don't know, but it does seem to me like there are other options that are rezoning here. And the nature of this particular business to me is not particularly relevant, only because it's the zoning we're changing. We're not allowing any particular business and disallowing others except for what's on this list up here. So for me, you know, as this is the planning commission, and I think we take very seriously the role we have in protecting neighborhood character on this commission. As Ms. Harrison mentioned, our position on the Romney Street rezoning not that long ago, just a couple months ago. You know, there are other options. You take this to city council, they may feel differently. We're just an advisory board. And then there's also the use variance. So I'm gonna support the motion.
Great, thank you, Mr. Same.
I'd just like to add one tiny comment, because I have seen creative uses of churches into housing. So you don't have to take the building down, you just have to creatively repurpose it for housing in an affordable way. So there is creativity that can be allowed with the current zoning on the.
Right, thank you. You know, it's interesting you say that. There's some houses, churches, you go to Sullivan's Island. Douglas Pratt Thomas, I think, lives in a church out there, but anyway, it's interesting, but. And I appreciate, one thing I want to say is I appreciate all you folks coming out. Sounds like you met, which is good. You may not have agreed, but you met. And the input from the neighborhood and the applicant was very useful. So we have a motion by Ms. Jacobs, second by Mr. Jackson to deny the application. Any other questions or comments? If not, all in favor of the motion to deny, please say aye. Aye. Anyone in opposition to the motion? I see none, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in favor of the application, a motion to deny, none opposed. Thank everyone for coming out, appreciate it. Next item on the agenda is 474 Meeting Street, correct, Mr. Moore?
Yes, sir.
Yep, 474 Meeting Street, Peninsula. Peninsula East Side, EMS number 459050307. Council District 7.48 acres. Request zone for old city height district 2.5, 3.5 to Old City District 4. Mr. Morgan, I think as a point of information, that Mr. Bailey said he needed to recluse himself. Great, thank you, Mr. Bailey. And if the city has something for him to sign as part of that, they may just let us know. Okay, for the record, he's recused himself. Mr. Morgan, go ahead.
So this is a request. The actual applicant on this is the city of Charleston, because this same site had a rezoned from 2.5 to 3-story to the 3.5 within, I guess, the last year or two. And plans evolved on the site. This is a site that's owned by Star Gospel Mission. And so the new plan on the site involves a slightly bigger building, a 4-story building. It would not change the height district on the entire site. It would just be this area that is in gray on this image that's in front of you, this kind of squared off area in here, which is basically the footprint. It's a little bit larger than the footprint of a current building that's on the site, and we'll go and show you some pictures on that. But that's why the city is the applicant, because the way our codes read is you can only request one change to your height, one step up to your height, and this would be a second step up. So the city, because we believe in the mission that's going on here for Star Gospel, we felt that it was an appropriate request to go forward. Just to orient everybody, the different height districts, there are a lot more criteria about 2.5 to 3.5. The height district for 4 is a little bit more straightforward. Of course, the still will be subject to the Board of Architectural Review. They do have the ability to trim up to a 1/2-story off it if they feel that that works better for the design of the structure, that kind of thing. Here is an aerial showing the site, and Star Gospel does encompass a few other parcels that they've acquired, including 2 parcels to the north that they have plans for. But the subject area is right in here where the current footprint of the building is, and that's what's actually subject to the height change. This is an image prepared by their architects of how this cross section of this block might be with a 4-story building on the site. This is Meeting Street to the left. The Gray Star headquarters in Curler Square, phase 1 is over here. And then to the right is Nassau Street, and you see the character of the size of buildings here. They actually go up a little bit mid-block for the Iron Forge Alley development here. So again, not that out of kilter with some heights that are a little bit further away from the site to go to 4 stories. Here's an image. This is looking from Meeting Street into the site where the current Star Gospel facility is. That's a 1-story facility. This would be up to 4 stories in this location, again shrouded by buildings that are on Meeting Street. And then this is a view from Nassau Street, where a new structure will be built here, and then another structure is currently here, and the new four-story structure would be here. So again, screened by a number of other buildings in the surrounding area. So in our comprehensive plan, this is a recommendation for this whole site, this neighborhood. You know, we're comfortable that the 4 stories on the site would fit within the neighborhood, and given the mission of Star Gospel, that adds more comfort for us to the site. I believe that the director of Star Gospel Mission is here tonight to speak to you all, as well as perhaps some other folks from the surrounding area.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Is the applicant with us, or that city's applicant? I apologize.
Yes.
Anyone else like to speak on behalf of this application? Yeah, come on up. I always look for David Engel, I think I'm starting now. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, Pierre.
Yeah, Pierre.
I'm sure he's watching. Good evening, everyone. My name is Reverend Dr. Marion Platt, and I serve as the executive director and pastor of Star Gospel Mission. Thanks so much for the opportunity to be with you today and to talk about our work. As many of you know, Star Gospel Mission is Charleston's oldest independent faith-based charity. For 121 years, we have served those experiencing homelessness in the Holy City. 107 of those years have been right there at 474 Meeting Street. And so my presence here is an expression of our ongoing work with and in the city of Charleston. Perhaps you're aware that we're expanding to meet the needs of women and the more than 621 children facing homelessness in our community right now. And this building is central to that important expansion. And so I invite you to come and learn about us. And when you do, you'll see that our program is not about handouts. Our program participants make a commitment to personal transformation while they're with us. Our program offers a hand up to those who come to us in their hour of need. And today, I'm here on behalf of the mission requesting this rezoning so that we can increase our programmatic capacity of this facility in particular by 20%. And in the spirit of our program and our long legacy of work, which offers a hand up to those facing hardships, I come to the city requesting a handshake in continuation of that partnership. I appreciate your interest, your consideration of this important request, and we vow to use every square foot of this facility to transform lives. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for your work.
Yes, sir.
Anyone like to speak in favor of this application? Anyone in opposition to the application? Got to close the public aspect of this. Jackson.
I strongly would make a motion to approve this. I dare you to tell me you could tell this would be any different than what was approved in the half story. And the half story of goodness that this group is going to do with that half story. I strongly, and I hope I have a strong second.
A strong second to your motion.
Great, thank you. We have a strong motion to approve this and a strong second. Any other questions or comments?
We're gonna have strong votes.
All in favor of this motion, the strong motion, I apologize. Signify by saying aye. Anyone in opposition? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and none opposed. Great, thank you. Next item on the agenda. No, so he recused himself, so we got it. So number 3 is West Ashley Circle, KMS number 305080058, 305080060. Council District 2, 50.55, 50.55 acres. Rest reserved from gathering place, the GB, Mr. Morgan.
Thank you. So this site, you all might be familiar with it, at the intersection of the Glen McConnell Parkway. This is the viaduct over the CSX lines here, and then of course it intersects with the West Ashley Circle here, and East Ferry is in this location here. This is an undeveloped tract. It is now owned by the city. We purchased it, I guess, 3 or 4 months ago in March. Yeah, to be partly to be home to our new fire operations facility and fire headquarters, which will go up on the street here with training facilities and vehicle maintenance facilities for the fire operations. And this this is a listing of the types of uses that are in gathering place. It's a whole range of things. General business is a whole range of things, but it doesn't have some of the design criteria that gathering place does. And it being a city facility, we're confident in what that we will come up with a handsome design for this facility and didn't need the gathering place type of designated design standards. An aerial photo shows the site does have a number of constraints. It's got some power lines going across it. This has been one of the things that has limited development capability here. It's also in a very low area. The city, of course, will be devoting a good bit of the site to stormwater management to make sure that no additional burden is put on this surrounding area for stormwater. And this is a site that perhaps we can help with some of the surrounding areas stormwater needs as well. We also got some other land that's back behind the Walmart over here that will be helping from a stormwater standpoint too. But subject of tonight's rezone is just these parcels that are here along the West Ashley Circle outlined in yellow. And again, that would be fire operations and headquarters in this location. The comprehensive plan, this of course is the inside of the circle is shown as part of the neighborhood edge, more intense designation, but the outside, because of the low elevation, is shown as low impact and conserved. We will be focusing in as much of the development as we can on the higher parts of the site. Lower parts of the site are going to be left to deal with stormwater issues and ponds and things like that. So I think it's a real positive for the area that we're going to have an outstanding city facility here, as well as working with the stormwater issues on the site. And staff is recommending approval of this. We also have Melina Dinwiddie, who's our Director of Real Estate here at the city, if you all have any questions.
If you like any, do you have any comments with us? Or?
I mean, Mr. Morgan did a fantastic job, but I'm gonna just add a little if I can.
Okay, yes, ma'am. We always like to hear from.
Thank you, Commission, for having us today. As Mr. Morgan explained,
Tell us your name once more for the record.
Oh, yes, sir. My name is Melina Dinwiddie. I am a citizen of West Ashley. I'm also the real estate director for the city.
Okay.
As Mr. Morgan said, we did purchase this property. We closed on it about late March. The intended use for this property is for our fire operations. To explain a little bit more, though, this is not going to involve an actual fire station. Some people are concerned about noise or fire trucks leaving. This is for administrative offices, training and fleet operations, which includes auto service and maintenance. That is one of the big reasons we are requesting this to be rezoned to general business to allow for those auto services and the conditional use of maintenance if approved. I did want to point out that before we purchased this property, it was owned and there was a planned development there to add 296 new apartment units, which if we're talking about intensity, anybody that drives down Bees Ferry, I'm sure does not want an additional 300 cars on that street. This is the it's a 50-acre combined between these two parties. The site, the larger site outside of the circle, 060, is going to be developed for the fire operations, like I mentioned. That is approximately a 45-acre site. The development area that we're going to actually be using is very small in comparison. So the city does feel like this still comports with the master plan. As Mr. Morgan said, it was supposed to be low impact, and we believe that this use is going to be extremely low impact compared to what it was supposed to be developed as. I also think it's important to note that the city's ownership and development allows us better control of drainage, very thoughtful development of this site, especially in a flood-prone Church Creek Basin area. So these are all considerations that we've made, and we're very excited to be able to provide an excellent training facility for our.
Thank you.
I've got a question related to the stormwater component.
Yes.
I'm aware of the Church Creek Basin issues, and are the stormwater pieces of this project, were they identified as like regional stormwater solutions from like a stormwater master plan, or is it just to address stormwater from the development?
Sure. So this is, I believe it's the what's it called, the special district where you have
Special
to,
protection
yeah,
area.
it is a special protection district. So as part of the development, we do have to improve the stormwater situation on this site. So we are looking at stormwater improvements in relation to the development, but because of the area, it does have that, you know, benefit to the rest of the community because of the 1.25.
Yeah, anything that can be done to promote regional stormwater improvements in this area is a positive.
Yes, sir. I do understand, as Mr. Morgan mentioned, we also purchased another piece of property behind the Walmart that we are hopeful will help in that regard. But again, this is about the request for rezoning of 058 and 067.
Good point, Mr. Hurst. Thank you. Any other questions, young lady? If not, anyone, since the city's applicant, anyone in favor of the application? Anyone in opposition to the application? If not, let's close the public aspect. Thank you, young lady.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Really. Obviously with the previously approved.
Strong motion. Strong motion, is that what you're talking about?
No. With the previously approved plan for this property with a bunch of apartments and so forth, obviously there's a lot you can do with general business, I mean, with gathering place. So I don't know what the comparison table looks like between that and general business, but just in the crazy unlikely scenario that the city doesn't end up building this fire center as general business, what we would, I mean, wouldn't this be an opportunity to potentially downzone the property?
So it became an issue of some height districts because the building that's going to be built there is going to be a 3-story building, very modern office building that needs some floor to ceiling height in it. So it ends up being something that needs to get up to 55 feet. And a lot of our other zoning districts that are less intense than GB wouldn't have allowed for that. And again, because the city owns it, you know, it's already a down zoning because gathering place doesn't really have a limit to density that could be built there. You could have had like 5-6-story buildings along West Ashley Circle if you'd been able to make the stormwater work and had dealt with the power lines. The apartment complex that was going to be there was just 2 or 3 stories, I believe. So they were taking up a little bit more of the land area, and then they had huge amounts of stormwater ponds and things like that. But it was designated in our plans over the last 20 years to be a fairly intense location for development. And this Church Creek knowledge that we now have of the drainage issues has led to the idea that we want to scale that back. But so, you know, this is definitely less intense than the GP would have been. Is it less, the least intense district that would have allowed this use? Probably not, but we need a pipe that's related to general business.
I mean, I'm gonna vote for it and have faith that the city is the applicant, but I mean, with the one that we spent an hour on 2 ago, we were talking about, well, what happened, you know, we're rezoning the property,
Right,
we're
yeah,
not considering the use. And considering all the changes out there with flooding and so forth, I do think it would be a good statement to the community if the city could figure out how to ensure that on a moving forward basis, we don't have an intense use in a place where we don't want intense, or we now know we don't want intense use.
And my interpretation of council's action to purchase this was that they felt like they were doing that by virtue of buying it, they were reducing the intensity of what would happen.
And I agree with Mr. Bailey. The only reason I feel good about it is because the city of Charleston is gonna own it.
Yeah.
And that's, and I agree with you on the point.
Mr. Morgan.
Now, wait, 1 second. Would anyone else, I just want to make sure, I think nobody wanted to speak in honor of this, is correct? Okay. That'll close the public aspect.
And I was just gonna say, adding on to what everybody just said, I do think the public process would keep something negative from happening here. I mean, the city will be held to a higher standard than anybody else. So I thought about the same matter. I'll move for approval. Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay.
Just what,
Motion.
wasn't this part of a settlement? Wasn't this property part of that settlement?
No. That was the adjacent property that shows
Motion by
purple
Mr.
there.
Lasine, second by Ms.
Yeah.
Harrison. Any other questions or comments? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
One opposition, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 in favor, none opposed. Great, thank you. Next item on the agenda, I guess, is Ms. Hart, is it you? Subdivision. Number 1, Kane Slash Road, 2879 Kane Slash Road, PMS number 345-00007-023. Approximately 60.66 acres, request from stock concept approval, the 20 single family unit for conservation development. That's hard.
Good evening. The second conservation in as many months. So we're gonna become experts on
I like
this.
those.
In this case, the applicant is requesting subdivision concept plan approval of 16.66
Thank you for
acres
coming, man.
as a conservation development. The property, as you see, is located on Kane/Road on John's Island. Let's see what we have here. There's the aerial view. The concept plan is proposing the creation of 22 single-family detached lots and the rights of way to serve those lots. The proposed rights of way meets the city standards for rights of way for a conservation development. Again, I'll give you a little bit of the conservation development. So the conservation starts before it goes through TRC. It starts with a pre-application site review. That is an internal, this applicant comes to the city and stormwater and zoning and planning are involved. And this is to determine if the site is, appropriate for conservation development. We don't know anything about it. There's no density, there's nothing, just the site itself. How they're going to, what there's proposal for stormwater management. And if that is, the city determines that the site is appropriate for a conservation development, they will come back for another meeting, and this is before TRC, nothing has happened, to show a bubble diagram. These are the areas, this is the highlands, that's where we're going to put the development. That is all we know. So at that point, if the city determines that the bubble diagram meets the intent of the conservation development zoning, it moves forward. If they get a determination letter saying, yes, you can move forward to a concept plan, submit for a concept plan to TRC for review. We finished that process and we are here. So this is their proposal for 22 single family lots in this area. This is very nice view from a nice job, Amanda, showing us what their proposal, their proposed development, and it shows how much green space are they required. They're not necessarily required to people that, but the intent of the conservation is to develop on the highlands, high areas, and leave the wetlands low. So in this case, the lot has about 7 acres of wetlands, and they are not being touched. So 9.34 acres is highland, and they are developed, the proposal is to develop on those highlands. As I mentioned, wetlands and also grand trees are present in this lot. And as we know, the removal of grand trees will require approval from the city's Board of Zoning Appeals site design. A conservation development requires that 50% of the total acreage of the proposed area is set aside as open space. And 25% of that 50% is required to be active open space. The property is surrounded by residential uses. And as I do every time, I would like to remind you that if you choose to approve this, it's a concept plan. You're approving the concept of the conservation development. The applicant will have to return to TRC for a preliminary plat and road construction plans, and that is when they have to dig deep and show that all the requirements from all the departments that form TRC will meet, are met, especially the 2020 Stormwater Design Standard Manual. And like I said, if everything is found to be compliant, the plans move forward with TRC approval. In this case, the city's TRC, the Technical Review Committee, has reviewed and approved the conceptual subdivision for compliance with city standards or a conservation development, and the staff's recommendation is for approval.
Thank you, man. Appreciate the call. Is the applicant with us? Come on up, sir.
One
Go
question.
ahead.
Hey, Carp, you may have just said it. What is the zoning on the property?
SR1.
SR1. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Come on up.
Good evening, Matt Randall with ESP and Associates representing the applicant, D.R. Horton. Basically, obviously, it's a low impact development proposed here. We're not proposing any wetland impacts whatsoever. We're not looking to remove any grand trees. We've done a traffic analysis with only 22 lots. No improvements required, very low intensity, small impacts to roadways. We're obviously working through very strict city guidelines for stormwater, not have any negative impacts whatsoever downstream when we going through plants water quality on the stormwater as well as attenuation treatment. But really just here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Are you speaking on this as well, sir? No? Okay, all right. Would anyone like to speak in favor of this application? And anyone in opposition to the application? Come on up one at a time. Tell us who you are, where you live. Thank you. Thank you, young lady. Come on up.
Everyone's young compared to Charlie.
They are. I feel like that every day. Thank you.
I'm Brunel Brown, and I live at 2907 King/Road, right up against this property, where there's a lot of wetland, a lot of cars. This property originally were my foreparents' property, and as things happened, they lost that part of it. So we live, it's about what, 6 or 7 other houses that presently reside on that property, right next to that property. I'm in the back, it's wetlands. I would certainly like to see it's very little high property land there. So I'm not sure with the density that they are talking about. I am very concerned about the drainage. It's already very wet where my house is. Really, my house was built in 1985, and by the standards now, we probably need to be a couple of feet higher, to be honest with you. The erosion, the runoff, the drainage, King/Road is already flooding when it rains. That property is right basically on kind of a curve right there, sort of in front of Pineland, which is a lot of traffic. We can't hardly get out of our driveways as it is. So I'm very concerned. I really would like y'all to vote against it.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate your comment.
Preservation of our community.
And we'll see if they have any answers. So thank you, ma'am. Come on up, whoever's going to speak next. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Phyllis Snyder. I live at the corner of Pineland, right across from this supposed development. Strongly opposed. We have 4 neighborhoods that was built, 2 apartment complexes. We cannot get out of our driveway. My husband has appointments. We leave 1 hour and 30 minutes prior to that appointment to make it to the city. Children can't ride their bikes anymore. We really can't walk anymore unless we find another additional neighborhood to walk through. It's horrible. We feel like we're boxed in. We didn't know anything about this meeting. My neighbor was the only one that received a notice. The sign for this meeting, the red sign, was put in grass that was grown up. No one knew of this meeting in our neighborhood. Few people that we did talk to were very upset. We're old timers. We've been there. We grew up at the end of the neighborhood, married, moved to the other end. My whole life we've been there. We can't walk. It's just unbelievable. The growth, it's sad. We feel like the city is taking our homes from us. They're taking where we're from us. you know? They want us to adapt to them. But come on, they're taking our homes. They're running everyone out. It's just not fair. 18-wheelers are coming through residential neighborhoods. It's just unbelievable. We can't back out of our driveway. Now we have to back in so that we can get out of our neighborhoods. And we live directly across from this on the corner. On the corner, and it's just not fair. It really is not fair. It's not. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Yes, sir.
All right, like she said, I'm Darrell Snyder. Born and raised on the street, like she said. Moved to the other end. That's Brown's neighbor. Paint East, Gathers, all those folks are right there together. I used to know everyone on this place. And now, like she said, all the traffic, the infrastructure that's there, the roads cannot handle it. Moved all over the world, everything else, seen everything. To come back here and see this in the neighborhood, that you cannot back out onto Kane Slash Road. You cannot, and we got a driveway through the back on Kane Slash, one on the Pine Land. It doesn't matter. I come out, I sit there and wait. For me to get out of my yard for 5 minutes or so in the mornings, just to get in the traffic, to get over to River Road or to Maybank Highway. Now that's ridiculous. When the traffic backs up for the people cutting through the new neighborhoods at the end of Cage Slash to come down, it backs up over a half mile down that road on Kane Slash. Now that's ridiculous. All right. I'm not fussing at anybody about it, but it's been approved too much back there. And like she said, it's all wetland. I hunted that land. All the high land is in the front, right on that curve. There's nothing beyond that. The only thing beyond that is the ponds at Bunker's Pond, where a canal runs through in front of my yard, the ditch, right where they put that sign for approval. They put it in there where no one could see it. No one's seen it. We moved it down where everyone could see it at the crossroads, right in front of my house. Then there was all kind of response, trying to contact the city, whoever, about the planning on this here neighborhood, on how we were to get in touch. We should have been notified about any development coming in. We weren't. But I just ask y'all's favor and everything else, I strongly, if you don't get it opposed, more houses in there. No kids can walk on the street. So you can't have anybody coming down in there at all, walking the streets, because they will get hit. 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. I wish it was 10. They crawling along, but right now it's a parking lot, so you're not moving anyway. First thing in the morning, first thing in the afternoon, that's what it becomes. No one can move, and everyone knows the trip congestion on John's Island now.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
And that's our main thing.
Thank you for coming.
Appreciate y'all's time.
Does anyone else like to speak in opposition? If not with the applicant, if you have some answers, we'd love to hear them. About the stormwater, some of those things. I know you may not have them all, but whatever you got.
Sure, the city's done a great job with the conservation development requirements. It's very challenging for us engineers to meet those standards. Actually, the flow of the water is actually through the wetlands, not the other side. So I think some of the concerns of the adjacent neighbors, if there were, I think they are actually upstream, not downstream, which is a good thing for them. We're not allowed to increase any drainage whatsoever. So we obviously have to stay within those guidelines. We're still working through those calculations. I'm certainly sympathetic to growth and the worries of additional congestion, but being in this industry and doing this for almost 25 years now, I feel like 16 or 22 lots on 16 acres is not really anymore a high intensity development. This is a low intensity We also did a traffic study, impact analysis has been completed. And this is obviously Kane/and SCDOT road. We'll have to meet all their criteria as far as site distance, and we've already gone through those studies. We'll be able to do that. So, but certainly understand and still working with the city to make the best development possible.
Thank you. And would you be willing to meet with the neighbors over there as well?
Sure.
Get some contact. You may not have all the answers, may not be the friendliest, but maybe they'll feel part of it if they can get your contact information and kind of. We really can't go back and forth, ma'am. I appreciate.
I ask a question.
Well, you go ahead. What's the question?
Well, I just wondered if we could meet with him, where are you talking about with that property? Because what we see and what we've been on is dry right up at the head of the road.
No,
but everything else back is wetlands.
But right.
There was a pond and all of that stuff back there.
Sure, and that's correct. You can see here, this is Kane/here. This is where the majority of the development, there actually is some more highlands in here in the pockets of the wetlands that could potentially be developed, but there would have to be some wetland impacts. And again, we're not impacting any wetlands.
Okay.
But the drainage comes down through this way, and I believe there's a new development here as well.
That's great. Thank you. And my whole point is there'd be some future dialogue. So
yeah,
you also change information, that would be helpful. Thank you. That's a close. Thank you, ma'am. And that'll close the public aspect of this. Commission members, questions, comments. Again, we come to these subdivisions, and Mr. Bailey has feelings on it, Mr. Lassane. Really, so the folks know, and I'll let Mr. Lassane get into it. He used to, that's a good explanation.
Anybody else wanna
You have a good explanation.
I've got one question about.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
About the conservation development and setbacks. I mean, you can see these neighboring developments that look relatively new, and the road kind of goes through the center of the property. And that makes sense. And then the road on this one abuts the edge of the property within like a couple feet. Is there any requirement to have a buffer from a road to a property boundary? That's gonna be a city road at some point.
There's not.
That seems strange. No, okay, it looks strange. It just.
That's coming from engineer.
One thing I might point out on that is that you do have some landlocked parcels there that by virtue of this road being there, they could potentially get higher and drier access from that road. Hannah, if you want to show where those are, Jason, there's some landlocked parcels. I realize right now they probably have easements across adjoining properties. But if things got worse as far as wetlands.
You're right, there is one landlocked parcel that would have public road access, you're right.
A couple of them there.
Another question. The other thing I'd like to point out, and Mr. Morgan, I don't know who does this, but we hear it all the time about the posting of the properties. I know it's never if it rains or somebody moves up. But again, we need to do as much posting as we can, as early as we can, because these folks deserve as much notice as they can get in the neighborhoods. And I know you don't do this, but if you can send that message to who, I don't know who actually
We
does.
do the post, we do have to, state law requires that the posting be on the property. So
Okay.
when you've got an undeveloped piece of property.
When you put it on the
Sometimes
property, you put it somewhere else as well.
we have to, it has to be on the property, it can't be off the property. Okay. So we put it at the edge of the right of way on the property. Now, very often with subdivisions, they are undeveloped pieces of property, so things aren't cut and things like that. Now, we could have a much bigger budget and have much bigger signs. That is not what our budget allows for.
I understand. Can you put that request in? Because I feel like we hear this quite often about the posting and people don't see things. So if you can just say to the planning commission, if I'm in agreement with that, if people are in agreement with that on that we have some bigger signs or better posting methods. Great, thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
And we're gonna close the public aspect. Ms. Jacobs, go ahead.
I just have one quick question. It currently is, you said, an SR1 zoning.
It is SR1 zone.
Okay. So by right, without this conservation development, what could they possibly, what would be the intensity of housing? By right?
We do the densities based on the highland, so it's about 9.3 acres of highlands, and SR1 allows 4.8 units, dwelling units per acre, so they can develop 44.
So by right now with anything else, they could put 44 houses on it.
I understand.
I just wanted to put that on the record.
Yeah, I hear you. And then that's important. Ms. Harrison.
and I know, I know we're gonna have to get to the big explanation that always happens. You know, one thing I think that I understand what Harry's about to say, which is that we are required to make this motion because of the ordinance and the statute. But I do think it's really important to hear what people are actually saying. And one thing that I heard is number one, it takes an hour and a half to get to an appointment. It is an hour. I used to live in Somerville. It's an hour and a half to Columbia. So like putting that in perspective for me, that gave me a lot more perspective on what time is like. You know, there's a difference between being down the road and being really down the road, right? I mean, that's like an hour and a half. So that's a full day, back and forth. But then also at the same time, I think there was something that you also said, which is I've been here and I feel like I'm being pushed out. And I think, and I don't want to put words in your mouth for the applicant, which is there's the number of units was 22, so it really wouldn't add anything. Well, I think the thing is that we have to hear what people are saying, which is the addition is already stressful. So that stress point is becoming too much. And whether or not 22 really adds to the number of cars on the road, it's still adding to the pain point that they're feeling. And maybe there's a way of explaining because, you know, I was hearing Anna's explanation about the bubble diagram on the side, about the bubble diagram. And I think there has to be a way of really explaining like how this process is derived. And we've really improved upon that. But really just understanding like where that highland is and so that people can really see what the process is. And it's difficult for us, but I actually hear what you're saying, which is you just want to actually be heard about the fact that these are your pain points. How can you help me resolve these pain points?
Great. Thank you, Ms. Harrison. Other questions, comments?
I'll make
It's
mine.
Harry's turn.
I'll make mine.
Sure.
So they're all looking at me and laughing because about every meeting we have an issue like this. And what this is a subdivision concept plan that we are by law required to approve. The zoning is on the land, it's SR1. We don't control that. All we're being asked to do is determine whether or not what you've seen, what this subdivision concept, whether that meets the city's guidelines. We're not here to say whether it's good or bad, or whether we agree with more development there or not. We hear your frustrations. I think Ms. Harrison just described it very well. I want you to understand, we hear you and we feel your pain, but we don't have the ability to say this property can't be developed. By right, by law, they have the right to develop this property. I frankly think of all the options available for development, this is probably the best one. That's irrelevant of what happens here tonight, but conservation development is the least intense development that could go on there. Otherwise, you know, somebody have to buy it and put it under a conservation easement for nothing to happen there. So anyway, that's that. I like to explain that to folks who come to these meetings, because I know it's a long way and you've dealt with a lot of traffic just to get here.
And you're saying, how can they do that?
Yeah, and so we're frustrated too. And several years ago, I know a number of us who are on the commission asked the city to change the rules so that the public doesn't expect that when they come here, this thing can be stopped, because we don't have the authority to say you can't develop the property. That's not our, we don't have the authority to say that. What we're being asked to say is whether or not what you saw meets the city's guidelines. And frankly, I think to this point it does. So
this is not a rezoning. What you said,
that's right.
Sat through earlier tonight was a rezoning.
That's what I'm just reading on there, though, is rezoning. And it goes down in the numbers. Number 5 is a subdivision.
Yep.
So if it's under rezoning, that means rezoning, does it not?
But it's not.
But it's under subdivision. Number 5 is.
Okay. Well, it's still under rezoning.
Well, it's after rezoning. So is there a motion here?
I will move to approve.
Okay. And again, Mr. Hussein, now I'll second his motion. The problem is, years ago, we turned down some of the subdivision requests. And Bill Regan, may rest in peace, who's the city attorney, said, all you're doing is getting the city in a legal argument that we will lose. We'll have to pay off. It'll be in court. If this doesn't go to city council, subdivisions don't go to council. They go to the courtroom. And the city says, if you turn this down and it meets the guidelines, it's a loser. So we apologize. We understand, but there's a motion. I'm gonna second it. Any questions or comments?
Would you like, we're not going to read the,
Because we've already gone here. We've already spoken to folks, so thank you.
I would like to add for their benefit, the city has slowly over time, because of this frustration, made the criteria to get through these plans more and more difficult with transportation, they have to go through extensive studies with stormwaters, with densities, with this conservation district, with wetlands. The city has slowly over time made this process that has to go through now more difficult. And we are aware of, sometimes it takes years for them to get there, and sometimes they never get out of the process. Just because we approve this concept does not mean they'll start putting a shovel in the ground tomorrow. They still have probably a couple of years of work to do to prove that they really are gonna do a good job there. I hate to say that to you, but I know that sometimes it is a couple of years. I've seen it be a couple of years.
Again,
But I just want the public to know that the city is making this process difficult.
Okay, and please, get the information from the engineer, stay in touch. Let's have communication, not help as much. So there's a motion on the floor by Mr. Hussein, I second it. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got the accountant telling me that eight in favor, not opposed. Thank y'all for coming. So the next item is zonings, and we can take them all together, I believe. Is that right, Mr. Morgan? I believe so. I'm gonna read them into the record. Mr. Morgan, I'm gonna take these four together. Is that okay?
Hold on 1 second.
I think they're all like zoning. Yeah, they're all.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, number 1 is 2485 Liverpool Drive. Number 2 is 1545 South Pine Bar. Number 3 is 28 Riverdale Drive. Number 4 is 234 Yates Avenue. They're all SR, they're all requesting SR1, they're R4 in the county, Mr. Morgan.
This, yeah, I've just been going through these as you listed names and addresses, so, yeah. We're doing parcels coming in the city as SR1.
Great, thank you. Would anyone like to be heard? If not, that'll close the public aspect.
I move that we approve 1 through 4.
Great.
second.
Second by Ms. Howard.
I strongly disagree with these zonings.
I understand these motions are the stronger.
Aye.
So, Mr. Hussein, second by Ms. Howard, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That's 8. Thank you, Mr. Haber.
Still 8.
I think that includes Mr. Morgan. Any updates from staff?
No updates right now. We are, the zoning ordinance is moving again with our consultants. We've got them working on things again, and I've got more updates in the fall from them. So.
Great, thank you. Okay.
And just one thing,
Yes, ma'am.
when preparing the agenda so that we won't have